Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It is a sign of urban decay, it is a sign of underinvestment, and ultimately it is a false economy. We're talking about the state of the roads, and in specifically potholes. They may think they're saving money by not filling them, but when drivers put their claims in for broken tyres and broken wheels and other damage, then you know it's going to get expensive. And that's not taking into consideration the actual danger to life and limb for motorcyclists and cyclists who may run into one of these in the dark, fall off, break their neck even. There could be ultimately a loss of life. This is just another example, I think, of the lack of care or the lack of consideration that's going into the lives of people in Scotland. Thankfully, you can only fill these holes with all those glossy brochures about independence, and then everybody will be happy. One, the potholes will be filled, and two, nobody ever needs to see that great big published pile of crap again. But of course, they're not filling them. There are many, many millions of potholes across Scotland. There's 18,000 in Glasgow alone, and nobody seems to care. Wait till they get the bill. Let's have a look. Scotland's pothole explosion, with 18,000 in Glasgow alone, and more are on the way. And of course, with winter coming, you get the freezing, the water gets in, it expands when it freezes, it makes the whole situation worse. You get lorries and cars driving over these, they grow, until eventually the entire road becomes one huge pothole. New data suggests the number of road craters increased by 50% in 2023 alone, with climate change and Shona Robertson's budget cuts tipped to make the situation worse. Well, potholes grow in cold weather, so if they're talking about global warming from climate change, that would actually help, surely. It seems a bit of a reach blaming the state of the roads on climate change, but certainly Shona Robertson's budget cuts undoubtedly to blame, because it costs money to fix them. On the other hand, it costs money to pay drivers to have their tyres and wheels repaired or replaced. Scotland has experienced a pothole explosion after the past 12 months, with numbers soaring by 50%, and cold weather this month will likely lead to even more craters opening up on our roads over the coming weeks, as I mentioned in the opening. Over 132,000 were recorded in the first 11 months of 2023 across 24 of Scotland's 32 councils, meaning the actual figure will of course be a lot higher. A lot of them won't just get reported, will they? Glasgow City Council recorded the most, with 18,000, while Dumfries and Galloway the second, with around 16,000 potholes reported. And I, during the early part of this year, I came down, I bang over a pothole, didn't see it, boom, lost a tyre. About a week later, lost the other tyre. The council had to fork out 2 new tyres, which was fine. Absolutely fine. I actually got both my front tyres done. It was free, thanks to the council. But eventually they did come along with the old lorry and they filled in this pothole. And here's the thing. They filled in this pothole. They didn't fill in the one 25 yards further up the road, because that one hadn't been reported. And this, of course, is the issue. When they're there doing this one, why not do that one? Anyway, Roger Harding, director of Round Our Way, said potholes are the bane of many of our lives and put drivers, cyclists and even pedestrians at risk of serious injury, and as indeed even death. The weather extremes that climate change brings are sadly creating many more of them at a time when cuts mean repairs are already not keeping up. Well, for local councils that are, or let's just say, already stretched to, or in some cases beyond breaking point, now you've got this council tax freeze announced by the wisest man in Scotland, because he panicked during his speech. Nobody knows how this is funding. It needs £1 billion, maybe up to £1 billion of funding from central government to the councils. We discussed yesterday there's a £750 million black hole in council funding, and they've cut the allowance even further. Only 135, 140 million, something like that, going to the councils. It needs to be nearer £1 billion. And so nobody's going to go out and fix these holes. They haven't got the money. And so the problem will get worse. And it will get worse, exponentially. because as these potholes grow and new ones go, and nobody's filling the originals, the whole road system will collapse and fall apart. It will mean roads that become very difficult to drive down will be abandoned. Other roads, less suitable roads, will be used. And then they will go far quicker because they weren't designed for the levels of traffic that they're going to see. Scotland will return back to the 1850s in terms of road infrastructure, thanks to the SNP and their massive, incoherent plans that constantly pushes the expense for independence instead of where it's actually needed. Transport, infrastructure, health, education. All of them go, by the way, just so they can put out shiny brochures and look important on the world stage. Anyway, no one should have to risk injury or breakdown to get from A to B locally. More investment is needed in repairs and new materials. But we also need politicians to get serious about tackling climate change that is increasingly causing potholes in the first place. That's what he says, but I'm going to be honest and say, have you got a citation to prove that, or is it just an opinion? I think it's just an opinion. There's no way you can prove it, is there? Anyway, it comes amid warnings that stretched council budgets and climate change could make the situation worse, and cold weather over winter has led to fears potholes will be more common than daffodils as we enter spring. Oh yeah, I mean it is. It's going to be they're going to be everywhere. This is the problem. The trouble is, if you don't do a road repair well, you leave a gap, the water gets into it, like I say, it expands and cracks the road. So not just a poorly maintained road, but a cheaply built road. They'll try and make this road and they'll do it on the cheap, rather than going in and doing a full multi-layered road with proper foundations, multi-laying the tarmac and all that. And you get just cheap, the sort of cheap tarmac job you get when the old boys come knocking on the door. Do you want your tarmac and done, missus? You know, one of those. And that's what you get. And that's what the roads are turning into because of lack of cash. Shona Robertson, I blame you. Humza Yousaf, with your big mouth and your council tax freeze. I would suggest to the councils in Scotland, sod the freeze, put the council tax up anyway. You're under no legal obligations to freeze it. It's only because the gob on legs said you had to. Well, ignore him. He's got no power. He's got no authority. He can't take you to court. He doesn't have the ability. It's not his remit. If he wants to freeze your council tax, he's got to fund it, and they can't. Anyway, the Convention of Scottish Local Authorities, COSLA, said Shona Robertson's recent budget announcement was likely to make the situation worse. Well, go figure. We all know that. It's going to go worse in every single area of policy. Not one area got a real terms increase in funding, except independence. Strange that, isn't it? A spokesman told the Herald, budgets don't make it easy to respond to local priorities when funding for policies such as teacher numbers and social care is directed by the Scottish Government. Yeah, basically the government will say, right, here's some money, but you must spend this on, spend this on teachers, this on social care, this on that and that and that and that. It leaves very little left over for voluntary spending, for the money that the council say, well, we've got this little pot, what shall we spend it on? We could upgrade, this, or we could change that, or we can make an investment here. Well, the trouble is, they go to that pot, and that pot is empty. There's nothing. Anyway, they continued, the recent budget will put more pressure on services such as road maintenance as ring fencing and direction continues. In addition, climate change and increasing weather events such as flooding is going to make the situation worse. If climate change is such a big problem, why are they still allowing private jets to land in Scottish airports? Surely, if it's a big thing, as they keep pushing the climate emergency, they'll just ban private jets. Let's start there. Let's start with private jets. That's the easiest thing in the world to ban. There you go, sorted. Private jets banned. Doesn't affect 99.99% of the people of Scotland, and yet sends the message, doesn't it? Sends the message. But of course, the elites don't want that. Oh, no. When it comes to climate change, it's us at the bottom. This is what I always say. Ignore the difference between left and right. The real difference is top and bottom. But we are many, and they are few. Anyway, a Glasgow City Council spokesman said potholes can appear suddenly at any time and will be caused by environmental factors such as heavy rain or flooding, ice, snow and the impact of traffic on the road surface. I've covered all of those earlier. Last winter, Glasgow experienced its lowest road surface temperatures in 12 years, followed by long periods of rainfall, which is a damaging combination for road surfaces, especially if the rain fall and then the freeze. because that's the one that really does the damage. It's all blah blah blah, just telling you how the road breaks and what they're going to do about it. Basically, what they're going to do about it is sod all, because they haven't got the cash. And there's the reason you haven't got the cash. Look at her. Look at me. I'm smug. I've got a job. Then she put weight on around the face. I suppose it's all that quaffing champagne in Davos or wherever it was. No, she went up the Alps, didn't she? Imagine that skiing down. Jesus Christ. Avalanche warning. But she sits there and she hasn't got a clue what she's doing, but she thinks she does. Anyway, I shall come up and leave the woman with an IQ of 86 to figure out what she's going to do to stop people dying on the roads. Anyway, here goes. So what's the answer? Well, it's simple, isn't it? Vote them out. Whoever comes in, doesn't matter. Whoever comes in won't be obsessed with independence, won't be wasting millions upon millions of pounds of pointless, fruitless exercises in self-aggrandisement and building themselves up to be Billy Big Balls on the world stage. Just get on and do the damn job. Close the foreign embassies. Get rid of all the spin doctors. Stop printing, millions of bloody glossy brochures to show how brilliant independence would be when we all know it isn't. And also, get rid of the Jamie Hebbons Independence Department and all the associated costs with that. Use the money wisely. Give a bit more to the councils. Let them fix the roads. Because it could be seen, I suppose, that they're deliberately letting the roads go to rack and ruin to make people not want to travel. That makes it, of course, far easier to start kettling people into their 15-minute ghettos. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit that subscribe button. Massively important. Hit the like, leave a comment. Please share the video. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.